Call this meeting to order in the County Board of Education meeting on Tuesday, October 31. It's 2023 at 7 p.m. We're at Midway Elementary now. Mr.
Davis?
Davis, did you lead us? Absolutely. Oh, okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I'm assuming we have nobody signed in for public comment. Speaker, Josh Bell has, told me he's not gonna be here tonight, calls from Turkey Creek, but he would like to talk on the board after his commission, the county commission, Thursday night. So we'll put that one on hold.
You don't want to go through his report? You don't want to go through his report?
It's down on the, item to it down.
Yeah, good. Okay.
That brings us to the principal of Midway Elementary. Principal Sue McCombs, the LSIC report. Do your name, Principal McCombs.
I've given all your copy. This is a template that I filled in that Mr. Davis emailed me. And I'll try not to read it verbatim because you all can read. But if you have any questions, you can ask or stop me or whatever you want to do. The first box there is just some basic information about Midway. I have 25 professional staff. I have 25 support staff for a total of 50. 4 ACRA certified teachers. And then this is my student enrollment broken down by grade as of October 1. So that's what I got credit for. So we have 255. And the narrative of strategies to improve test scores, I just used a few of the main ones. We do lots of different things, but of course, we use iReady data to drive our instruction. We use Reflex data, which is a math-based program that helps with fact fluency. I use my Title I teacher for additional support for students, and usually they are assigned to Title I through our SAT team meetings. We have those regularly. We've already had 2 this year. We use Ashlock interventions, and we're hoping next year to expand that to a walk to intervention. I've been working with Ms. Shortridge on that. But it takes some tweaking of the scheduling so that kids first thing in the morning, they go directly to an intervention group. And it's based on, content more so than grade level. I mean, you have to can't put 5th graders with 1st graders, but we use benchmarks that's available on the General Summit Assessment website. There's all kinds of like teacher tools that they can use. There's practice questions that we use as like bell ringers daily. They can actually go on the site and pull questions that show up on the Summit of Assessment to use daily in their classroom. And they can go over those. And then they have the practice tests that they can take. And we use that. And then we use the data from all these sources to identify which students need extra help and what they need help with. And that will help us improve our performance on the state testing. We also offer incentives for students that put forth their best effort on the General Summit Assessment. And I think it made a pretty good difference last year because I had kids who came up to me and said, I really want to go on that trip. So I tried my best to test, and they hadn't had much success before that. So you just got to do what you can do to get them to put forth that effort. Our mission statement is we learn, we lead, we succeed. And our vision is we are filling the shoes. Then from our strategic plan goals, goal 1 is to improve the overall student proficiency in ELA on the General Summit Assessment. Goal 2 is improve student proficiency in math, and then goal 3 is to improve our attendance rate to at least 90% and to reduce the number of chronically absent students. And then I can't remember what went in the box under strategic plans, but it was just some general information about stuff we use to achieve those goals. Our ELA proficiency from this spring's test was overall in ELA 33% proficiency, and that was up from 29% last year. And our math proficiency was 39%, and that was up from 30%. That's full school. And then our celebrations this year is we have PBIS reward activities, and PBIS is like our positive behavior support. I was at the high school actually and was one of the first groups trained on PBIS, and I implemented that at the high school. And it kind of phased out because the high schoolers didn't buy into it quite as much, but when I came to Midway, I tweaked it a little bit. I think they had something here prior, but they had gotten over to the Leader in Me. I didn't know a lot about that. So I just kind of put the two together and created my own little PBIS thing. And what they have to do to qualify for a PBIS reward activity is they can have 0 discipline referrals. They can't have any D's or F's on the report cards. They can't have more than 3 absences in a 9-week grading period, and they can't have more than 5 parties. So if they meet all of those conditions, then they qualify for the reward activity. We had, this first 9 weeks, we had 146 students qualify for the PBIS activity. We're doing that actually tomorrow. We also do just separate attendance reports. If you walk around the building, you'll see letters outside the door. Every time a class has perfect attendance, they get to put a letter out. And once they spell perfect, we bring them popcorn or something. But I mean, you would think it was the greatest thing. You know, we spelled perfect today. We have all the kids, and it does cause the kids to kids that are absent a lot, say, please come all the time. We're never going to get to spell perfect if you don't come. So that's another extra thing that we do as an attendance incentive. We do student of the month recognitions. I've got it on the sign by the road. And then if you go out here in the hallway, we've got the kids' pictures up because we bought a little Polaroid camera. They love seeing their pictures. We also have a perfect attendance board for the weeks that we put the kids' pictures up on. Then we do what's called Caught Doing Good, and this is something that my counselor started. We have these little slips, and if we just see kids doing some random act of kindness, we take the slip, we put their name on the back. Then she puts it in for a drawing and draws out one from every grade each week, and they get to be first in lunch. Also a huge deal to be first. And then we've got the reward trip coming up for the students who scored proficient on regional assignments. That's the next is my cohort comparison for my test scores for both math and ELA on this chart. And I couldn't get the numbers to print, but the red bar represents Midway, the blue bar is Lincoln County, and the yellow bar is the state of West Virginia. So for math proficiency, it is broken down by grade, not lumped together for whole school. 5th grade, we're 32 proficient, 32%, which was pretty close to the state at 37, and then the county in the middle was 23%. So Midway 32, county 23, the state 37. That was 5th grade, and then 4th grade, 37% proficient for Midway, 32 countywide, 45 state. And then 3rd grade, we're 46% proficient in math. Lincoln County was 38%, the state was 51%. So again, we were right there with the state for 3rd grade in math. Then over on the right is the ELA proficiency chart. 5th grade, ELA at Midway was 48%. The county was 28% and the state was 44%. So we were actually higher than the state there by 4%. And then 4th grade had 39% proficiency. The county had 30% and the state was 44%. So again, we were pretty close there. This next one causes me some concern, so I'm addressing that, and it's my 3rd grade. ELA, their proficiency was 17% at Midway, the county was 30%, and the state was 39%. So that's why my curricular focus next is third grade ELA and literacy. And what I did is I put a little chart down there because it seems, well, it shows, I mean, the numbers are there. That top line represents my last year's fifth graders. And when they took the test in 2021 as third graders, they were 24% proficient. But then when they took it the next year as fourth graders, they went up to 47%. They almost doubled in a year. And then they maintained that as fifth graders and were 48% proficient. Then my fifth graders this year that were fourth graders last year, when they were in the third grade, they were 17% proficient. But then when they got into the fourth grade, they went up to 39. So they did more than double. And you know, part of that, I think, is they're not used to the writing part of it. They've not had enough practice yet whenever they do it. I'm just playing with some things to discover what the real issue is. I do have a new third grade teacher in that spot this year who is fantastic. So I'm interested to see what the results will be next year after she's had these kids 2 years in a row, because she was my second grade teacher last year. And when my third grade teacher retired, I went to her and I said, hey, why don't you go up to third grade? Like, we've got an issue. I think you could do fantastic. And she said, well, what if I hate it? And I said, well, we're going to Duval in a couple of years. You could rebid back to second if that's what you want to do. But it's Amanda Howell. And if you all don't know her, you really should come in and watch her classroom because she is great. So I really do expect good things from her in third grade. And I'm hoping that's going to help this a little bit because my overall proficiency since I've been here, we have absorbed in third grade ELA a proficiency number in the teens, 12, 17, and 17. Like, it's never been any higher than that. So, and still in ELA, we're still at 39% proficient, absorbing that low number. So I'm hoping if I can get that up just a little bit, then our overall proficiency at the school is going to go up.
So just one call.
Okay, and then on the next page, it asks about ELCs. We meet once a week. I have the lower grades meet 1 day a week and the upper grades meet on another day, so I can be at both. The lower grades meet on Tuesday, the upper grades on Wednesday. We have leadership team meetings the first Monday of every month, and I listed the members there. And then at the last principals meeting, Mr. Davis had recommended that we start an attendance team, and I kind of already had that going on. I just didn't call it the attendance team. So whenever he said you may want to get that together, then I put it and call it the attendance team here. And what they do is they make person-to-person phone calls to every child every day that they're absent. And then if they see that one student is missing a lot, they do home visits. And parents really don't like those. And they do it does get them to come in. But if they miss 3 days in a row, Beth and Missy or Beth and Bet or Shandy, they're out there. Like, they're like, hey, this kid's been absent 3 days. We can't get them to answer the phone. They get in the car and go see what's kids at school the next day usually. But I've got a few that are problematic, but not as many as when I first started. But, you know, I was coming, the first year I was here was the first year immediately after COVID, you know, had basically gone away. We had to all wear masks, but everybody was coming every day at that point. And then the current culture and the climate of the school, I had a survey out to the staff and a different survey to students, and I just picked the highest favorable answers and then the highest unfavorable answer to talk about. I didn't want to go over every question, but the survey indicated that the majority of the staff and students believe that students are cared about here. And they, all teachers believe that the students have the ability to learn. The one major concern that I've noticed on the survey was the staff here doesn't feel like we have the resources to maintain a safe and secure campus. And I believe that's because of the outdoor portables we have, and we have kids that have to come outside and come in the building a lot here. And we have slow response from law enforcement. Like I had an issue here one time where when I got here, when my janitor got here at 5:30, there was a guy passed out in his car behind the building. And it took us 2.5 hours to get police officers here. So that was a concern because we were trying to get him out of here before parents and students started arriving. But because of the long amount of time it took them to get somebody out here, we didn't do that, and it was chaos that day because the police, of course, showed up right when the parents and students were getting here and trying to get him out of the parking lot. So I think that's what that stems from. I mean, we lock our doors, we do everything. We have the ability to. We've got all of our entrances and exits numbered. We've got the room numbers in the windows, and Miss Tamara does a great job of making everybody buzz in before they come in. She asks them what they want. But when you've got a couple of kids coming in from the 3rd grade portable, and they'll just open the door for somebody. So we're working on teaching them, you just can't open the door for people just because they say you should. And then it says, what needs have you previously asked for and received? I kept that to this year, basically. I received an additional special education teacher. In fact, my special education population has exploded here. It is crazy. I don't know, I can't. And I'm not learning disabilities. That has been part of too, but I have several nonverbal autistic children that are severe. They're severe proficient. So I did get a teacher to do a resource room for those students. I received all the textbooks and the instructional materials that I requested, and I received the, because our lower grades, they don't take their iPads home as much as the upper, and it's hard to charge them all. So I had asked Mr. Gaines if he could get me like one of the charging stations where you can charge them all at once, and he got me those. And before I talk about these next things, these are just some ongoing things, but we have been making progress. So I don't want you guys to think that nothing's been done about these things. But I've had, in June of 2022, I had 2 copiers removed from my building. I've not had those replaced. They were, the lease or the contract or something had run out on them. So Xerox came and got them. I was supposed to get 2 back. I haven't, but I've been working with Mr. Barnett and Mr. Cooper. And hopefully those will be here soon, but it's been almost 2 years that I've been waiting for those. I need additional parking. There's a storage building out here. We've been trying to get that moved since about August. It's still there, but I talked to Mr. Means on Friday. That's supposed to be moved out to hopefully open about 5 or 6 more parking spaces out here because I have 50 employees. I only have 35 parking spots, so it's kind of crazy here. Coming to park. And then I've got a piece of pre-K equipment that was delivered in April of 2022, and it is still sitting where they delivered it.
What is it?
I don't really know what it is. It looks like a big wooden box to me. And the pre-K teachers told me they got some blocks that go in it, and it's supposed to go onto the playground. And I have emailed Loretta, I don't know how many times, and put a work order, and I've asked Jerry about it. And honestly, it must be pretty heavy because I don't know if it's been stolen yet. But I think some of I mean, for real, I really can't believe it's out there. But right where they delivered it, it was still in the box, but all the packaging has fallen away. And it has doors on it, so it's a little bit of a safety issue because a kid could get in there and get stuck. And also, I have some area people that like to sleep in it. So, I have to check it every little bit to make sure I don't have the guy in his orange underwear. I'm sure you all saw that on Facebook the day he was out here, doing whatever he was doing. I don't know when I got here, but I just don't know what to do about it. So that, and the Board of Risk lady even mentioned it when she was here one time, but it's just got to be moved. They've got to do something with it. I don't really care what they do with it at this point, but it looks like something that costs a pretty good amount of money. How long has it been? Since April of 2022, it will be 2 years. It's been like where they took it off the truck, is where it is. It's in there.
That's what I was saying.
And then on the back page, I've got the members of the LSIC. Miss Shelley Campbell is my chair, and unfortunately she couldn't be here because her husband's grandfather passed away there in Kentucky for his services. So I told her not to worry about it. And I listed everybody here. And then the last one is the student safety practices. We use safety patrols to get kids not to the buses. We do that ourselves, but when the parents come and pick up, we let kids walk them to a teacher that's out there, and they think that's a pretty good deal. And they also put up the flag and say the pledge and lead announcements and do those kinds of things in the morning. Another one is they don't run in the hallway. They go up the stairs on the right and down on the left. I learned that as soon as one of the first weeks I was here, I went up on the wrong side. And this little boy kind of looked at me, but he was afraid to say anything. And I went, am I coming up on the wrong side? He went, yeah, you are. I said, I'll fix it. I will fix it back. And they participate in all the drills, the active shooter, severe weather, and our fire drills that are up to date. And I'm having one this week. And then we follow the PBIS procedures that are used for what we call stain points, and they have to have earned 90% of their stain points in a grading period to qualify. And the S in stain stands for safety. The rest of the word, the teachers adapted however it fits the best, but the S for everybody is safety in that. And that's all I have. Y'all have any questions for me?
I have a couple,
Okay,
all right? And this is just clarifying questions for me.
okay.
What, you said earlier, your special ed population really got large. Taking out your low incidence students, what would you say, this ballpark figure, your population of special education students will be earning to save?
Well, I have what my total is, because it's 22%. So
Okay.
22% of 255
Okay.
is my special ed population.
All right, what about low SES?
I don't know. I think, I didn't look at it this year, but I know last year I was 57% because I was trying to get another Title I teacher, but they said my low SES wasn't high enough to qualify for a second Title I.
And then, there's a method in my question. Looking at, what about, your students who, if you had to put a number on it, students who don't live in a traditional household, they might live with a grandparent, they might live, they're couch surfing or something in that nature.
Well, I think.
And if you can't answer it, it's okay.
40, no, I had a little bit cold and I'm on the day. So my brain's a little bit foggy. I'm pretty sure that I have 52 students that are classified as homeless. So that means they're doubled up or, well, you know what I mean.
Sure.
And then I would have, gosh, I would say another 15%, 20 maybe that are being raised by grandparents. It's probably more than that. That's not a statistic that I sat down and figured out yet, but I will. Now that you brought that to my attention, I gotta know the numbers. But, a lot of them, but you can't classify them as homeless if the grandparents have adopted them.
Sure.
And I have several of those. But I don't have any right now that are in foster care.
Okay. Nice. All right, that's the only questions I had. Good job.
I do want to say, I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Those of you that don't know, I was assistant principal when Sue was flipping around and being a little cheerleader in junior high.
Chrissy Self.
She came back and worked for me.
I understood exactly.
I'm just
No different than Rangers,
first
but she's bringing her
back
best.
to the field. I hear nothing but good stuff. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And,
I do.
and bringing those test scores up in 1 year that much, that's a big deal. I mean, it really is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's another thing, like I've worked other places And when you try to put something new out there, often you'll get pushed back, and that just doesn't happen for me here. I'm really lucky in that regard. Like anything I ask them to do, they're more than willing to do it, you know. They volunteer their time a lot, without even having to be paid, so
That's a big deal.
it is a big deal, and I do appreciate them a lot.
Professional role model.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
This is all that's what you see, it will be without pay.
Thank you. Yes, Ms.
I just want to look, so,
Okay.
on the third grade,
Uh-huh.
it says there's 37 students currently in third grade. Is there just one classroom or is there? Or
No, I have two there.
has that been the case for the last couple of years?
No, like, if you look at grade 4, those were my third grade last year, so there was 26 of them.
I mean, but the number of teachers wise, or more, multiple classes.
Do you have the same teacher
Yeah,
that you had?
I do have these two teachers, so for every grade. Now, last year, I almost had to go up to 3 for kindergarten because I had so many. If you notice, first grade is 43, and they're a little more restricted because you can pay them extra for every student they have, but like their max is 20. And then you can pay them per student, they have up to 23, but then after you exceed that, you have to get another teacher. So I was at 45, 46. Like, I was like, when they come in and say, somebody's going to enroll, I said, please don't send me to kindergarten. Because then that was, you know, but that disrupts the kids. They've been with the same teacher the whole year, and I didn't want to have to split it and all that. But yeah, I've been able to maintain 2 teachers per grade.
I'm just curious, were the scores for both classes similar for the ELA we're talking about?
Yeah, like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th that I showed you, they were all low until they got in. And then they went up, and even like this last year's 3rd grade that was in 4th grade, I think their proficiency was
Both have them.
17. I remember it. 17 and then 12 and then 17 was his 3 numbers. Huh?
Same.
Yes, and she's fantastic as well. She's very good. That's Sandra McClure. She's my 4th grade ELA. She's retiring after this year, which makes me sad.
No.
I can tell you that I've been in several classrooms here and, if first grade is any indication as to what's going on, the first grade students are not at out of part. They truly are. And they're doing some things with those kids that I don't see in second grade classrooms or third grade classrooms in some other places. They're really pushing, they're stretching. And that's what we want to see. And, you know, so I'm really tickled to see what's going on here. And I sent those teachers specifically emails telling them that, you know, really what's going on in the classrooms. And same with the upper grades too. I'll tell a quick story, and I think I've shared this with Mr. Pond. So I was upstairs in the 5th grade classroom last week and walked in, and the teacher was doing a social studies lesson. She was doing it on diversity of different cultures, and she said, does this little girl look different to you? And I said, well, she's dressed different. She said, well, never mind the clothes. Does it look different? I said, well, no, not really. So, okay. She said, what about the house? I said, well, no, the house is different. You know, she had an old Apple or Commodore computer. And they were saying, well, what is that? Is that a television? No, that's a computer. It's just old. So the kids were all talking about that, and they said, well, the house looks real similar. And this one little boy said, I don't know about you, my house is a wreck.
Oh, they do tell the truth. Anything else? And you are welcome to stop in anytime and walk through, and you probably don't want me to walk with you. I was telling Butchie that when I walk in the classroom for my walkthroughs, I'm quite a disruption. Because I come in and I'm like, oh, it is good, but sometimes it's probably not your time. It takes me minutes to settle back down, but they might ask you what you're doing here. But you're welcome to come anytime.
Thank you very much.
Right, item 4, to the October 6th and October 13th special call meetings. Burns,
Second.
Wilson. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Administrative items. You have several on there.
Motion to approve.
Those who made the motion, please say. So, let's go in. I have a motion, a second, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? This is the finance staff. 1.6 million. Who's got it?
I make a motion, we approve.
Wilson. Barr, Snyder. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? None, unanimous. Personnel section. We have any discussion on personnel on the blue sheet, I suppose? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Dory,
Second.
Wilson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Brings us to section 8, comments and concerns. We have to follow up on there.
I can tell you that the demolition package is out for bid right now. It'll be bid this week and next week. Pre-bid meeting is when, Austin?
I think it's the 9th award date. I think it's the 16th. I have to pull it up, but I can tell you.
So that, if you didn't hear that, the pre-bid meeting is November 9th, and the bids are due in on November 16th.
When do they anticipate that being done?
That was correct. Dates. That was correct.
Once the bid is open and accepted and voted on, I mean, you can tear something down a little easier and depending on whether it's.
Yes. This way, I mean, the people that are days, how many months, how many days do you take to tear that down? Like, what if you need to clean before they get started?
That'll be the easiest thing to do.
Because I just hear people talking about,
Once it's-
you know, and love to see some. We all.
Progress.
To see some progress. Building started.
So the SBA will fund that partiality, they'll fund the demolition first without full bid approval.
Everybody go up there real quick.
Yes, please.
So that is my understanding. So I don't know if the board will have to approve the individual contract or not. If we do, we have to put it on probably the 21st, which will be the following two. The bids are due on Thursday. We could approve it if needed on the 21st. Then technically somebody could start on 22nd. They'll demo the building, do very minimal site work. And then that package will be finished. I talked to the SBA this week. And it was a good conversation. Mr. Barnett's probably shared some of that. If he hasn't, I'm sure he will, but yes, it would be reimbursable at the same rate. And they're really hoping to get the overage down to $8-9 million instead of $13 million. And it just seemed like from my conversation that if we get to that number, it'll be fair for us and for them. So
And how much of that 8 or 9 million are we gonna have to cover?
I'm not sure. The original funding was 89-11, 89% to 11%. So you guys can do the math. If it's, if it's 10 million over, we're looking at
$1 million.
Yeah, so if it's less than that. Now, I don't know what they're going to say or what they're going to offer, what the negotiation is going to be, but that's our current percentage. In all honesty, if they keep it the same, it'll probably be pretty comfortable with it.
And I will tell you that moving forward, we got news from the SBA. Now it doesn't help us on this particular project, but it can help us on future projects, that they've increased the amount of their square footage allowance from for middle schools, it's been like 360, or 385 to 460 square foot.
Yes.
So they've actually gone up and that's what the price of materials are. Yeah.
Good, good for us. Yeah,
Any other discussion?
yeah. Dana Snyder and I have been talking about looking around the counties around us. If you go out the corridor, Boone County usually has a school bus sitting out there with a poster that's as long as a school bus that says school bus drivers wanted. And every time I go to the Mountain State ESC meeting, they're talking about losing bus drivers, replacing bus drivers, training bus drivers. That gets expensive. And looking at our bus drivers, I think everybody would agree, we have some really good ones. I'd like to keep them because the state right now and a couple other entities are getting ready to gear up for recruiting again. And I'd just like to ask President Superintendent if we could put on the next agenda to discuss a raise retention bonus. I'll call it that. Retention bonus for our bus drivers. And it's just to say, if you've been with us 25 years, we want you to be with us 26 years. You know, and according to what our school budget can afford, and it can be a bonus that way. If we go into lean years, some year, 10 years from now or whatever it is, even next year, whatever it is, it's literally a bonus. So it's not a mandate that, you know, that we have to take it out of our budget every year, but I'd like to entertain that if that's all right with everybody else.
Would they have talked about a contingent sign on?
Yeah, sign on also, yeah. Dana? Yeah. And the reason Dana is asking, you know, and that's a lot for a small county, but the reason he's asking for that, if they go find another job somewhere else, they're gonna be making a whole lot more than that compared to what they're making now. And then we're gonna retrain them, we're gonna, and then we don't have the experience of knowing, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So whatever we can afford, whatever we can afford.
About a year or so often, I have conversations. Getting bus drivers up to Rankin County.
Okay,
And
great.
if I say something wrong here, Austin, correct me if you remember it, but it's kind of vague in my mind. But it seems like, Putnam, Captain counties were the,
counties that order us, that touch us, we pay more than Wayne, but less than everybody else.
we
So
want
We
them.
pay more than Wayne, but less than every other county that touches.
Yes, yeah.
So Logan, Kaw, Putnam, Captain, I think that's it.
Boom.
Boone, so we, on that list of six.
How much, and I don't think you just have to come up with a figure right now, but can you research that and see how much that we would need to get in that average? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You know, in other words, if we just had 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever it is, that would get us even with the others.
David brings for this.
Right.
Another thing, don't forget what you've already done. Now, you gave, the new levy, I'm not saying we shouldn't
Right.
pursue this, but I'm
Right.
just saying, just keep in mind, we did 500 in the new levy for service staff, and then we also added the,
Attendance.
attendance bonus that
Right.
would potentially give them roughly 2,000. But we'll look into whatever you guys want to see, but do keep that in mind.
Yeah,
Is there any indication, Mr. Barnett, Austin, that the attendance incentive we passed, has it had any positive effect?
So I told Mr. Barnett the other day that I'll run some attendance numbers probably in November. And then I'll provide those to him that he can share with you guys. I'm not for sure. It seems like we have less absences from what I can just observe. And I've talked to several people on the phone that have asked questions about it. So they're trying to get this.
I think that it seems like it's had a positive effect. I know that my phone's not ringing nearly at 5 o'clock. I can tell you that. I think it's right.
So we're going to put this on for discussion next week, or more discussion next week, okay? Mr. Barnett, have that on the agenda for, I don't know, items, God incentive.
retention bonus.
That would be good. Anybody else have any,
I just have one point of clarification in administrative items in item C, the approval and the contract quote with Davis Athletics and Playgrounds. That came out of Ursa money. And in addition to playgrounds, it should have said playgrounds / outdoor classrooms. Because Ursa money addresses learning loss. And with those use of those outdoor classrooms, that's a good indicator of what that money can be used for. And just to make it clear, I mean, we can't use MRSA funding for anything like, building repairs or anything of that nature. So that's just yeah, you can't use it for anything like that. We just want to make sure that I had that out there, that this was done as a main, getting outdoor learning areas.
very good. Anybody have anything else? Not. We will adjourn until Thursday, November 2nd. That's day after tomorrow, 7 p.m. For a closure hearing at Ranger Elementary. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Wilson makes the motion. Ryder seconds. Time is 7:43. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? And this meeting is